Saturday, October 10th, 2020. This is episode number 7 of the Factorio podcast. My name is Blake, and this is Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Blake. How you doing?
All right, good. We had some landmark stuff happen this week.
We got the first Friday facts since 1.0.
Yes, number 361. And as you know, I did a video. So Factorio released on August 14th, right? 1.0 on a Friday. They released not only 1.0, but they also released Factorio Friday Facts number 360. But true to form, I've been doing Friday Fact reviews for my YouTube channel every week since then.
Yep, you do it every week.
And then on August 21st, I did on August 21st, there was no Friday Facts, yet I did a video. And I baited several hundred people into watching. Because
hey, the old bait and switch.
The video was me sitting around being disappointed and looking for it on the website, and then being bored, and then being disappointed, and then drumming my fingers on the desk, and then juggling, and then trying to balance eye drops on my face, and just sitting around, basically waiting around for 361 to drop, and it never did. Anyway,
that's pretty clever. That's pretty good.
And actually, right before I found that, I do have one thing. We have another topic on the great list of show topics as how Factorio has invaded your life. And right before I actually read this, I went for my normal almost daily 33-minute nap.
Mm-hmm.
I have 30. 33. I sleep 33.
Yeah, I got one too. It's 9,441 minutes each day.
But my sleep quality is not very good, and so I'll usually do days without naps, but I will. I don't want to be yawning on stream.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just close my eyes just for a couple seconds just to knock those out, and then I'm good.
I used to take naps after speed runs because the speed run would knock me out. So Saturday morning I would do a speed run.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be exhausted. I'd go lay down in 30 minutes and come back. I can do the rest of my day.
Yes. Yeah.
I love a good weekend nap.
Yeah, good one. And for me, it's not long. I don't want to screw up my nighttime schedule. I don't want to sleep for 2 hours because then I'll be up too late and all that business. But 33 minutes is just right because it takes me about 3 minutes to fall asleep, and then I don't want to sleep more for 30 minutes. So, do you know what a hypnic jerk is?
A hypnic jerk.
Yeah. It is.
My buddy Nick, he's hip. He's a jerk.
No, a hypnic jerk. It's when you are falling asleep. You're just about to drift off, and then you go, ugh.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the way Factorio has invaded my life is I said, okay, I did my normal job, and then I said, okay, I'm just going to just close my eyes for a minute, and then I'm going to go live. This was yesterday. And then as I'm falling asleep, I start thinking about 361 and what's going to happen. I'm doing a space exploration playthrough right now. And I was falling asleep. And then as some part of the fast dreaming sequence, I hear very, very, very loudly the science completion noise. Dun 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 dun, and I do a hypnic jerk.
You fall off the couch?
No. I don't do couch naps. Those aren't good. I need to focus. So I actually hit the bed, and get super comfortable as possible, so I can get as much as I can, as comfortable as I can for those 30 minutes. Couch is okay, but there's other stuff and people and all that going on in the house, so I can't do that. Can't do that. But Factorio has invaded my life. Right before this, I got up to do the real video for 361 and my stream. I was awoken by my brain kicking off the ding 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 science. And the reason I think it was significant is because in our current space exploration playthrough, it's few and far between before you get to hear those. And so when it does go off, oh yeah, cool. What did we get? What did we unlock? What gift did we unwrap? So
it's not like red green science where you get like every 30 minutes or every 20 minutes for even a casual player. It's like, oh, I got another one. I don't know what this is. I'm just gonna pick another one. I don't need
right. Yeah, there's definite phases in the game where you're building and you're waiting on science versus science is going too fast and outpacing your building. There are it's not a linear path. It's plateaus for sure that unlock and move on until I guess near the end, and then the curve gets way steep and you outpace your you build. Your building is now outpacing your ability to do science.
So, you're waiting for the Spidertron, the nuclear bot speed 17 or bot speed 18. Some of those streamers right now with the mega bases, they might get one tech a stream.
Right, every 4 or 5 hours, right? Yeah. Logarithmic, good exponential logarithmic, right? Well, Factorio 361 had a couple of pretty great things.
You forgot to ask me about how it's invaded.
Oh, you did.
Life.
Sorry. Go ahead. How was your deal? What was your what was your small story? How Factorio invaded your life? Doesn't have to be this week. Mine was right before 361, so it was right on my tip.
Well, yours is very specific, right? Yours is like an actual instance of like a sound effect. Mine would be more generic, right? Well, for one, it made me a streamer. Like that's
for sure.
That's the obvious one, but it's not the one I really want to talk about. When I work now, I always weigh out, can I automate this?
Can I
automate
this?
Every single thing now is a question of should I automate it or should I hand feed it?
Really?
And as an engineer or developer or whatever, it's automation is fantastic, right? Automation is a big proponent of it. They have a whole sector of software development called DevOps, which is all about automation of operations. It's what it is, right? It's automation.
Yeah.
It's essentially the thing that allows us to build faster in the future.
Right.
So I always have Factorio on the back of my mind now when I work and when I'm deciding whether or not I'm going to do certain tasks. Always.
Right. So I have the same thing. I'm a service owner. So I run the program that is DevOps. So as different groups in my company come to me, I can steer them in the right direction. Here's how to get started in DevOps. Here's what to do. Here's not to do. Here's what I will provide. Here's what I've budgeted for. Here's what you need to budget for. As you know, and it's an interchange in between. And I guess to say what I automate stuff. That's a really good question because there are a lot of things that I choose not to automate because it is all right. This is going to be a once per quarter event where it takes me about 5 to 8 minutes to do it. I shouldn't invest a ton of time in automating this.
Yeah.
Something that is an hour or two a week, right? And involves a couple other people and approvals and asking, that is something.
Yep.
That is something we need to workflow and we need to automate, right?
Yep.
And we need to set the process for.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Friday facts.
361, man.
So hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I got it up here. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay.
So it's been August 14th was 1.0.
The last one. Yep.
Okay. October 9th. This is 5 days shy of 2 months is the next facts.
Yep.
We have gotten no Friday facts.
Right.
And no experimental builds.
And
for
no
2 months.
No fixes.
No fixes.
No hot fixes.
2 months. No hot fixes. Yeah. Can you believe that? It's been 2 months.
That's insane. Okay. That is absolutely worth camping out on for a second. Any other game that went from 1.0, went from nothing to 1.0 and released, that I guarantee you 90% of the games out there that week went from 1.0 to 1.01 something. They did some
or
hot
that
fixes.
Day. So like Baldur's Gate, for example, got a hot fix that day. That's an early access though. It's still a bit different.
Factorio, okay. So how about Relogic and Terraria? I hold them at the top peak of the pyramid of quality. Okay, if you've ever played Terraria, you'll know it is one of the highest quality games. If you've ever heard me talk about them, I almost tear up every time I start talking about how good they are. They still did a hot fix the day of release. They still did 2 or 3 over the weekend of their latest release 1.4. And they still went in and did those things, and those guys test the crap. They fix everything. They have such a high standard and a high bar for professional development, and they are top tier developers.
Yep.
Now, Factorio has gone 1.0 and has not had anything in no hot fixes, no nothing in 7 weeks.
Yeah, no hot fixes, right? So Bilka is in chat, just mentioned there. You can find the hot fixes.
Right.
But I don't think they've been delivered, right?
Oh, yeah.
We haven't gotten
nothing
a build.
To be clear, nothing delivered. Right. Nothing set to production. Right. Not even to your point, not even experimental build. That is, now 2020 has been the year of the word unprecedented. That is unfreaking precedented.
148.
That never ever happens, that you don't have something that you have to go to production for. And it could have been, a teeny little thing, very low risk. Let's do this. It's a 2. The amount of files that you need to push out to Steam is 2K. It's going to patch in a matter of seconds. It's going to update in a matter of seconds. We could just and be done. No. 7 weeks, man. That's insane. It is something to behold. And if you are listening to this, you will not find that. Probably you will not find that again in your lifetime. Like it's going to be a rare thing. And to your point, as CI/CD and rapid and agile gets better and more automated, the risk to production is lower and lower. Right?
Yep. They can push it out right now.
They can put and the pushing out is lower risk. The pushing out, delivering to production is easier and easier and quicker. That will be more and more common, that you do a hot fix the same week. I mean, that's what most companies are moving to. This is, it's without parallel.
Yeah, it's like back in the day when they shipped you a CD. It's like, well,
right.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. It's gone. I mean, it's delivered. It's out there.
Got their CD. They install it. They don't.
Yeah,
they never see it again.
And then pre-internet, I mean, there's no fixes. There's no hot fixes to it, right? It just goes or it doesn't go, right?
Right.
So
I got the list of fixes up on the screen from Bilka. There's just all sorts of stuff coming. But the real meat of it is unknown, unless you go through and figure out everything here. It was unknown until yesterday. Right. Everyone read it, right?
We read it together. We read it together on the stream. I didn't. Yeah. My Discord, my folks in Discord posted it for me and said, "Hey, look here! Oh, this looks cool." And I looked at the article and I went, "Awesome!" And then I closed it. I didn't want any spoilers.
Right. You got to be genuine on your YouTube video.
When I read through it, the same way I was completely surprised by Spidertron on the day of. I guarded myself, my eyes, what I was reading, what I was watching. I didn't talk to any of my buddies who were in Europe, who had already got the release and started playing with it. I didn't even watch Nilaus, who I always watch. I didn't watch Mojo, none of that business. I guarded myself, so that way, when I sat down and I did the thing, I was completely blown away, and at the very end, I see that little spider crawl across the. So that's how I handle the FFFs. I never do any spoilers. I guard against it, right? So yeah, there was a big deal. The good news is that again, it's our buddy Clonin, who also I have him in top tier.
Yep, he's the one who had the initiative to get the Friday Fast going. He made sure every week this is important. This needs to be done.
Right, And through leadership, he was admittedly, and through other reports, he was the one that was, instead of having it a reactive process, he turned it into a proactive process, along with, like, all it is leadership. That's it. And then getting everybody to do that sort of stuff. There's a story in Reddit. If you want to go check that out, I'll link it in the description below. But there's a Reddit post where the way it happens for Factorio Friday Facts is, early on, I noticed that they were coming out U.S. afternoon evening, which is way late Europe.
Yep.
And they were shorter and shorter. And just the way I was reading it, my perception was they hate doing this. It's a pain to do this.
Yeah, it's a chore. It's like doing your time
It's a chore.
Sheets,
it's your time sheet. It's a reactive process, and they hate doing it. And then somewhere around, I wanted to say it was like 2017, 2018, it started becoming a morning U.S., like 3 a.m. U.S. time, which means they would do it before they left. And sure enough, I just postulated that out in chat without having any data. And one of my subs went in and actually, challenge a nerd to do nerd stuff, went in and charted on GMT time what time of day the Factorio Friday Facts was posted. And sure enough, my theory was correct, was validated, in that somewhere, I think it was August of 2017, 2018, it went from way up here, way late in the evening, to it dropped down into to like 2 or 3 p.m. check time. And it was before they left work. And so we posted this on Reddit, and then we had some Factorio devs come in and start saying, yes, this is what happened, and here's the story. So you can go read about that, but they turned it from a reactive thing where they were just trying to, what did you work on this week? What did you work on this week? Type, push, go. To, all right, now, on week 17, what do we have slotted for that? On week 18, what's going on for that? It's planning, it's proactive, right? So it switched, and Clonin kind of told us the story of it. And it was great. Like, it's, yeah.
No, I'm here. I didn't freeze.
But you were just being really still. But then he told us the story of how they rolled out. So this one, no doubt, now you're doing it for real. This one, no doubt, had a very focused one. They had plenty of time for this one.
Oh yeah,
right?
This is a big one.
This was a big one.
It's well developed. It's long.
Right.
And what I really love about these, we don't have to show yet, is they go into great amount of detail with like animation, animated GIFs and all that stuff to really kind of show what it is that they're talking about. That's not trivial, that takes some amount of skill and time, and it's not just writing. Yeah, they went through and they planned it all out, and they did a great job. So where do we want to start? Do you want to start at the top?
Well, 1.0, the real 1.0, just saying that, hey, there's bug fixes for sure, but it's the greatest. The takeaway from that is the real 1.0 is going to include some stuff that, quote, I didn't know I needed until I saw it.
Yeah.
And then boom, I know I needed it, right?
That's a classic line in game development. People often don't know what it is they need, but they know it when they see it.
Right.
Or they don't know what they want.
Right.
But they know it when they see it.
And this is the classic.
That happened. It's like, I didn't know I needed this. And I read this and I was like, that's what I needed.
That's what I needed.
That solves everything.
That solves so many things.
That one thing.
And
that one thing.
Previously, this was a faster horse, right? Henry Ford's great quote: "If I'd asked the customers what they really wanted, they would have told me a faster horse."
Yep.
This was a faster horse, right? So the same thing that I think happened when the chain signal was invented, right? For me, that little simple thing sets Factorio apart from every other game that has trains.
Yep.
Right? Every other game has a train signal that will make you stop at an intersection. But what Factorio has that no other game has is that chain signal. And to the same parallel, something so simple. All it does is tell you, instead of stopping here at the signal, go ahead and chain all the way back here and stop back here.
Yeah.
Now
very simple.
Very simple thing. But to that end,
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Now
They're not the
we have
only
a,
game. They're not
we have
the
a whole
first
game.
game. That's been done. I think chain signals are a real thing in the industry too, but I'm not 100% sure. But
Yeah.
Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe had chain signals. That's where it came from.
Oh, okay.
They actually had pre-signals, chain signals, and what were called exit signals, which was really interesting because you could do a little bit more with it.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
I think
I have
Factorio
not.
said, like, we don't need the exit signals. That's just a
Right.
layer of complexity. It's just not necessary.
Right. But that's a great example of something that is just a little simple concept that you can do that just explodes in what the possibilities are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this one's a good one. And
Wait, hold on. I know which one
Yeah.
you're going to go into,
okay.
but I want to pull in first. I want to veer a little bit, and what I want to show you is the tutorial stuff. Okay, specifically the tutorial simulation, and this
Yes.
is one that's on that same vein of like, I didn't know that this is great. I didn't know that this is what we wanted, but this is what we want. This is an in-game GUI. Okay, it's just really cool. And they're making the wiki. An in-game wiki, so to speak, or tips and tricks or information out of their GUI.
Yeah.
But what they have, and what I love about this, is they have another instance of a Factorio world rendered.
Yes.
On the screen.
Yeah.
And that's in the mod pack, right?
Right.
You can mod that, and that is just one of the coolest things that they've put in that I just wanted to highlight.
Yeah.
That you can have like different worlds that are just kind of rendered on the screen if you want. And that's what you see in what you've been playing recently, and what I want to really hype up today as well is that space exploration mod.
Yes.
It uses it to an unbelievable level.
100%. Yes.
It's crazy what you can do. I'm trying not to spoil, but I've seen streamers and I've seen you play, and they they pull up like dialogue boxes that show other worlds that they can build on, and then they can see the other world inside the GUI, and it's another Factorio window. You know, it's really cool. So this is one of those things to prep everyone. This is something like we would never have asked for this, but when we saw it, we were like, this is amazing.
Right. So space exploration is one of the ones that I did see it, and when I saw, I did that first because we've been going through that for about 2-3 weeks now. Space exploration, it's super fun. But when you go in and you choose space exploration, you check the box. It immediately checks 6 or 7 other mods, and that says, "Hey, these are dependent." One of which is called Informatron. So, Informatron brings up those dialogue boxes for space exploration. That's what the Informatron does. Is it brings in the tips and tricks GUI that Clonin was talking about here. And so, in that Informatron mod goes and tells you about space exploration. It also tells you, it's also part of the one that tells you, it tells you that, hey, there's about to be a solar flare destroy this planet. So in 12 hours, buckle up. and also tells you about spaceships and how to travel and all those other sorts of things. And so when I saw Clonin talking about Informatron, the Informatron mod, I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. This should be available to all modders without having to pull in a default mod and load your data into it. Now you don't have to have the Informatron mod as included if you want to do something like this. It's great because you're bringing that feature into the game itself, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what he was talking about. So he says Informatron, we're taking pieces of that Informatron mod, and he links it, and we're saying we're going to build that in because that serves a specific need, right? Yeah, so that's a really good one. So it's hard because, like, wouldn't you want to put your entire wiki out there, right? But but Clonin also says, well, we want the wiki to be the wiki, and we want tips and tricks to be tips and tricks, and we want to figure out a nice balance between those two.
Yeah, you want to boil it down to what the actual player cares about. Right. That's user experience. That's figuring out what it is that they need in game and what it is that they need out of game. In-game wikis, like I've seen them in a couple games, I think, but like Civilization has their Civipedia, whatever. But I just went to the Wikipedia anyway.
Right.
It just in a browser that getting that all that information was a little bit more handy. Plus, I can put it on the other monitor.
Right. Yeah. Something like how inserters behave and rendering it graphically. That's something you would want in game. Something like a list of console commands. Okay. Well, that can probably be on the wiki, right? Yep. And usage and examples, something like that. So two pretty good examples, and I'm sure there's going to be obvious examples of where we want to put over here and things we want to put over here, and then there's going to be the ones in between, right, that are going to be more challenging. We're going to, okay, we got to think about that. So, I mean, I could imagine a process by which they go, all right, here's all the concepts that we have together, and which one, and we're going to label them 1, 2, or 3. And if it's a 1, it's clearly in game. If it's a 3, it's clearly out of game. And 2, we're gonna do case by case. So let's
like
do all the obvious ones first.
4x4 balancer. Do you put that in the game, or do you let the person kind of explore that and figure it out?
Right.
And then throw it in the wiki.
Or maybe group 4 unaddressed, because I would say a balancer might be a candidate for being not addressed. Because that's more of a community thing that says, okay, here's how I balance the belts. Here's how this other person balances belts. Because I mean, I'm sure everybody has the viral book that's been passed to everybody, right? A Mad Zuri book of 2. Yeah, and they pass this book though. But then something like a belt balancer is kind of a specific build. So maybe that we leave out.
Yeah, put it in the wiki.
Right.
Or that's a hot topic at one point.
Yes, I think there was an FFF to where that was addressed and saying, okay, where does that go, right? So because it was a specific build, right? So something like that, you may throw it over here in this other bucket and say, nah, more scrutinies, and we may not address that at all. Right? All right, so yeah, the tips and tricks. So now modders, am I back? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
You didn't disappear.
I didn't. I slowed down on this machine. I think I was fine on that one. So, so the tips and tricks are now something that modders are now blown open for. So Irindel is the one who has done space exploration. His answer to that, to doing tips and tricks, because it is so vast and it does need additional commentary that he couldn't really put it. He wants to put it in the mod, doesn't want to put it anywhere else. He made Informatron as a dependent mod and loaded it all in there. Well, now it's going to be way easier for every modder of any kind to go put it in there. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
right?
You could make even concepts like Speedrunatron or something.
Here's
a bunch of tips and tricks and like a guide step by step on how to speedrun, or maybe you want to do something else like a step-by-step, here's builds that you can follow to play along with Nilos, right? And he can put all his builds in there. That would require a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
But he could, in theory, like have each one rendered inside of a Factorio instance, actually running, and say, here's some inspiration to do red chips. You could make a pretty nice, just kind of like follow through guide.
Yeah, a follow me, right? A follow me guide. Yeah. And
the links to Twitch.
Yep, and the coolest part about it is it's unlockable, right? So I was watching one of the animated GIFs was you read this one first. Once you mark that as red, it goes pop and pops out 8 more of them, and then you can mark as red, and then you can step through it so that it kind of enforces a path so you don't get lost. So the user knows a 1, 2, 3, or at least can follow one of the trees down, which is really cool. Right.
Yeah, I know that some of the mods can be a little daunting at the start. So in particular, there's 2 that are kind of infamous for this. They could use this to get their players jump started. So C Block is one of them, right? So C Block, a lot of people start off in the first hour, they quit, they're done. Like this, can't figure it out.
Yep.
Too complicated. Yep. And the other one is Pyanodons, right? Pyanodons is one of those ones where it's like, I don't even know where to start.
Yep. FNEI helps, right? FNEI is I don't even know what it stands for. I've used it for years, but it's a recipe. It's basically a recipe lookup, which helps you go through the tech tree. You can put in any recipe you have, and you can do either go, how do I craft it, or where is it used? Right. It's a good one.
Yeah, it comes with like C Block and some of those other big mod packs. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, yeah. That's a starting point, but this is even a superior solution for that. This is exactly what the modder wants to show you step by step to go through. Yeah, there's FNEI, and really neato. I've used FNEI for several years now. When and it's anytime we get into a complex mod, we need to go look up recipes and go find our way through the tech tree.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. So then, so yeah. Anything else about that before we move on? I like the animated GIFs. Those
are great.
Those are great.
Yep.
Specifically, some concepts like I'm going to click one, hold down my mouse, and run, and I'm going to drag a line of furnaces. I didn't know I needed that.
That does two things. One, it says here's a way you can plop stuff down, but two, it guides them to go bigger, because everyone has seen first time players try it. They have one furnace, right? There's like I have a belt that goes into one furnace. It's an inserter. It just goes straight in. They're like, okay, well now what do I do? But this trains the person to say, okay, I'm going to need a bunch of these.
Right.
So let's go horizontal here. Right. And let's just really widen our build.
Yeah, it implies. So it may not train them specifically, but it implies, hey, this game does have scaling up, right?
Mm-hmm. They should do boilers like this as well.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Boilers would be a great example of one.
That's a big one. Yeah, you go long, right?
Yep.
That's good. Yeah, scaling up. I didn't even think about how it implies that there's a scaling up factor. It's good. One other one that we thought of while I was doing the video yesterday was that would be good in here is concepts of a two-sided belt and the operations around there, because many new players usually will have will have a belt that's full of stuff or have isolated belts. I know at least when I started, I had a copper belt and an iron belt and a coal belt. But what I didn't really have a good concept is, well, maybe I don't need a full belt. Maybe this is a slow recipe and small amounts that go into the recipe. Let me just split this belt into half and half, and then see if I can do it.
Yeah, I think everyone starts off with like coal belt, iron ore belt, red inserters right into their furnace, red inserters into the furnace again. Yep. So because you're just like, well, I need both of these. Right.
But a half belt is appropriate. That would be a good. That's immediately the new player concept that I thought of here. That way, I guess what the drill is for those new tips and tricks is not just what the concepts are needed, but what could be visually represented and unlock a lot of possibilities. Oh yeah, okay. I can make a half belt of each of the things and combine it, and then so that then I could go off and discover my own builds where this would be appropriate, right?
No, we should get a sushi belt version of that too. Get them right on the wrong track.
Yeah, you do a sushi belt. Yeah,
here's how you can do sushi. This is going to run into all sorts of problems, but this is an idea.
Good luck, guys.
Explore it. So let's talk about the trains. I'm excited to talk about the trains.
Yeah, good luck ramming your face into a wall, guys. Here's the sushi belt, right?
So there's an age-old problem, the N-to-M train distribution system that everybody who plays Factorio and gets involved with eventually figures out and is like, what do I do here?
Yep.
There's been mods. There's been people have made their own systems that are driven by combinators to solve this problem. You have Hafalis has a Hafalis train network.
Yep.
Nelos has his own. Actually, he may use the Hafalis one. I think Mojo D has a train system that he uses. I have a train system that I use. You probably have a train system that you use. And they all try to solve a problem that the rest of the community has fixed with LTN. Right? So LTN is the Logistics Train Network mod from, is it Lord Couture? Or Lord Couture did a different one. He did another train mod that did the same thing. I don't remember who did LTN. But
I honestly have never used LTN.
Yeah, me neither. I've never used it. I've
Really?
always considered it, but then said I can do it in vanilla, so I'm going to do it in vanilla.
Correct. Yeah, that's
And
where
it's
it is.
been
It is.
hard, but it's just, a challenge to explore.
Optera is the owner.
Optera.
Yep.
So this is old. This has been around 3 years. It says 3
Long
years
time.
created. So this is a long problem. Train Supply Manager is the one from Lord Couture.
Right.
So this mod allows you to solve that end-to-end problem, which is just trains come in from iron, right? So I have iron source. All my outposts that create iron ore, they all come from iron, and they all need to drop off at iron drop off. But I don't really want to have like iron 1, iron 2, iron 3, and then a train that goes from iron 1 to drop off 1 and iron 1 to drop off 2. You just don't want to deal with that. You just want generic orders. So Factorio has come in, and they've done exactly what they always do, which is it just amazes me to no end.
They tone that down.
Yeah,
perfect.
They took that and they said, well, we want to allow users to do that. We want to help them solve this problem, but we don't want to solve it for them. We don't want to just give them this really complex train system like LTN, which has been historically hard to adopt. A lot of questions around it. It's not intuitive, maybe. I've never explored it, so I shouldn't say anything negative about it, but it's more bulky. So they came in and they were able to just say, well, we're just going to add this one thing just right. Just this one thing.
It's perfect.
And you can see it. You can barely see it on the screen. This is one little thing. This is just a little checkbox with a number.
Checkbox and a number. It says train limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's defined at the train stop, right? And what's perfect about this is all of the work behind it is where the magic is, because now in the background there's what's called the train reservation system. And reservations are is in the background. That's really the meat of what we're talking about here. Is a train will be at stop number 1 and find supply stop number 2 that has room, a stop that has room for it underneath that supply limit, and make a reservation. And then if there's the next train that tries to find its path can make a reservation too if there's enough room in it. And now that path reservation, it cannot be broken unless the whole damn stop is probably lifted up.
Right? You'd have to interrupt everything.
You would have to break the rail or probably pull up the stop to break those reservations.
I wonder if breaking the rail would even stop it, or would it still be reserved into a no path?
That is a great question.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. You know what else we're gonna find out is we're gonna basically, we have this wrench that's now put in to the system.
Yep.
And it's not a wrench in the causing ruckus. We're given another wrench that we can use to do things with. Yep. And there's so much there's tons of speculation right now as to we could do this, we could do that, we could solve this. But we're gonna end up with months of just innovation from this one little thing, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
It's always super exciting. You'll have Reddit posts, you'll have communities that come together and they say, oh, look at what I've created. 10,000 upvotes, that kind of thing.
Yes. So one of the things that is that I used to do on my Friday Facts, I would do a new player night, and then we'd read the FFF, and then we'd go to Reddit and we would answer the weekly question thread, and we'd pull out questions. And one that I saw, every single week was, what I'm trying to do is I have multiple sources and multiple destinations, and I want them to go on. I want an on-demand system.
Yep.
But as soon as on the supply side, I have I have trains that I do some from the supply side. On the demand side, I'm using circuits. And what happens is train number 1 will get its first, and train number 2 will be on the way there. And so then because train number 1 filled it up, it'll disable the stop, and train number 2 is stuck. And it's stuck and it's blocking everything. How do I fix this?
Yeah.
And that was an every single week problem. I probably went 6 months of every single week. I would read these and I would find 1 or 2 or 4 of that exact problem every single week of a user trying to go, how do I fix this problem?
Do you remember the last time that happened? Before they implemented buffer chests.
Oh, yeah.
They added the buffer chest, which was a really important piece that nobody realized they needed, but it enabled all sorts of really cool things to happen.
Yeah. But I found that every single time. And when I read that, I went, oh, okay, bam, this is so simple. And here and the two things, it's the stop limit and the reservation system underneath. The user's never going to see the reservation system. I mean, maybe unless we can start doing something with circuits, right? There may be the advanced user may, right? The advanced user, right, may get into it and start monkeying around with the reservation system behind it, but the average user will probably never see that, right? And that's the magic of it. It was such a perfect change. The last time I thought about this and actually thinking about the buffer chest, the last time I saw such a perfect change was actually blue chemical science change. Right? You remember?
Yeah, I remember that. You and I mining drills to not sulfur. Iron.
Right. It was the change. It was when military cut over to wall to do stone. But the more perfect one was we used to put miners into chemical science. If to produce a chemical science, you would put a miner in there.
Oh man, that was rough.
So much iron, right? And they switched it over to sulfur. And again, I think you and I did our first base doctor right around that time, because I remember talking about it with you, and you said, "What do you think about science change?" I said, "I cannot. It is pretty bulletproof, right? It is just perfect." And I said, "I got to agree. I think they absolutely nailed that change because it is just a super simple recipe change." That flipping over mining to, I mean, it's another thing where the implementation was this quick recipe change, and the implication was
boom.
Yep. It was so good. This is one of those things, right?
Yeah, and they added flying robot frames to Yellow Science, which enabled people, hey, you need bots.
You need bots.
It's important. Right. They did all of that right.
Yes, it shifted the path into bots and where Factorio was kind of intended to go before, right?
Yeah, and then bots got moved to Blue Science. Blue Science got a little bit easier, a little bit less of a concern. Really just fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, 1.1 is not out yet. I don't think we have a date. Do we have a date for when these are coming out?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, it's a couple weeks.
He said we shouldn't speculate.
Yeah, Clonan said more. He says it's more than halfway done. Is the only date we have, right? So if we with the 7 weeks with the thing and it's maybe Christmas, maybe December, maybe a December gift if we're thinking about.
I'm really looking forward to it though. Once 1.1 comes out, it's really going to make me want to redo the game, like play through the whole thing again.
I agree.
And I've done it so many times, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't wait to do it again with these new changes.
So speculate, how many playthroughs do you think you have?
Oh, geez. Well, if each speedrun is an instance of it, it's hundreds.
Right. But whether you launched a rocket or not, what is the number of restarts? I would say, right?
200.
No, it's so low. I'm gonna higher. If we're gonna play a game show here, I'm gonna whoop your ass because I'm voting higher and I'm gonna win that.
I make a save game. I have a save game of every single playthrough I have.
Well, every speed run, every restart of a speed run.
Every single speed run, yeah.
It's not 200. There's no way.
The speed runs only went up to 120. I didn't speed run for that long. Yeah. So you got to remember, like I only stream twice a week. I'm not a full-time streamer. I play twice a week. That's all I play for Factorio. The last year and a half, I've been doing playthroughs that are 40 episodes long, right? So we're talking about 100 playthroughs a year. Like it's only 2 or 100 sessions a year, and each one's 40. It's like 2.5 playthroughs a year right now.
I have playthroughs.
Well,
200.
I
That
mean,
seems low. That seems low for a speed run.
if you count Steel Axe, like that's an 8-minute, 7-minute, 6-minute playthrough.
Okay.
Then we're talking a lot. I did a lot of those.
All right, I win. I accept your apology.
Okay, so let's say 3, 4, 500.
Right, I would say 500. Right, Steel Axe or getting on track like a pro, hit yourself with a train or whatever. Right. I would say, yeah, this is probably going to make me want to play through again. And one of the most common things that we do in mega bases is with trains is a stacker. And a stacker is one of the byproducts of a way to solve this problem without the train stop limit. You can pull one up.
Yeah.
Factorio stacker. And it's a way to pull your trains off of the main line and get them to wait in a kind of a holding queue before they go into the stop.
Ugh. The ads are ridiculous.
And the way that one of the ways that I solve this problem without the train stop limits is I would go over to I would have iron smelting, or I would have iron smelting 1, iron smelting 2, iron smelting 3, and I would set up dedicated trains. Iron smelting 1 would have 3 trains, iron smelting 2 would have 3 trains, and it was point to point, and they would have fuel ups where it would go. I would never do the one to many, or I would never do many to many. I would never do one to many even. There was one case that I would do a one to many, and that's fuel depot.
Yeah,
because
you're
low transaction.
Your nuclear fuel all over the place.
Yeah, or a lot of times
trains, or you build trains.
A lot of times I had I had rocket fuel. I never did go to nuclear fuel because it's very close for the hassle of doing a nuclear setup. A lot of times I didn't make that trade-off. But the one, and you'll find one of my YouTube videos is there is a definite case that is a one to many train that I would do, and that's fuel stops, and then I would use circuits to turn on and off, or it's going to be a circuit. It's a signal. There's no combinators, but it's a signal to turn on and off its demand or its stop, right? And so that's the only case. Everything else, I'm wondering how, as whether or not this new change is going to kind of by and large wipe out the stacker.
Yeah, it could.
It could.
We don't know.
Also, a good mega base. I've had mega bases with 400 or 500 trains running at a time.
Yep, me too.
If this does what we might expect it to do, we may cut that number in half, right?
Maybe
because now if I can have kind of 6 trains that are looking for demand and looking for supply and kind of just doing the traffic the whole time. And because what does a mega base train do? Spend most of its time doing?
Loading,
waiting in the stacker.
Yep, waiting.
Right. It waits in the stacker.
Around.
If most of its time. So that's what I say is some people come in and they say, why aren't you using LTN? You got a mega base. And I'm going, well, I just make a dedicated train and then it's done. And then they say, well, doesn't that get confusing? I said, no, because the train will spend 90% of its life waiting in the supply side stacker, right? Because it's waiting to fill up. The other one's filling up. And if you're doing it as fast as humanly possible, you want always have a train loading into that loading into its destination. And then when that's full, that train's going to stop, and then all the trains beneath it are going to wait on it to be finished, right? So times hours on hours on hours of your mega base, your trains spend 90% of their time waiting in the stacker, right? That's what they will do. Their whole life is waiting in the stacker to be able to drop off.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
Oh man,
right.
Tom the Train.
Now,
just sitting there waiting, sleeping.
I wonder if we can kind of measure. If there's a way to measure global train traffic, and now pre-change and before trains, like your average number of trains running in a mega base of X number of science, I used to have before this change. Now I have a new tool, that stop limit. Now I can cut my trains in half, and now I can have a couple of trains. I named my stations all the same: iron plates, iron plate supply, iron plate demand.
Yep.
Right.
Done.
And now and if they're all the same size, then now you just have these trains that are always always running.
So
right?
you're jumping to the solution, but
Solution,
I think that what's going to happen, I think what's going to be fun, is that we're going to have this tool available, but you're going to run into new problems. So we may not just have iron pickup or iron supply and iron drop off, and then like suddenly it's magic and it works, and it's this fairy tale of like, hey, it just solves all our problems. We might run into more issues, which means more trains, maybe less trains, maybe you have different types of stackers, maybe we have whole new systems.
I think my prediction is that train traffic will go down because as you megabase, train pathing and train networks are a big UPS drag. They're not as bad as they used to be. Train pathing has come a long way since, say, version 16, I think. There was a couple of big changes in train pathing that it leaned it down so much, and it's now not so bad. It's now pretty lean. We don't. I had a mega base that me and the subs were working on back in version 16. It was giant, and then I had a guy come along named Deuces, and Deuces came along and said, I know what your problem is. Here are the things that you need to do to get your base straightened. And I went to the school of Deuces UPS reduction, and it worked. Everything he said to do, he says, here's how you measure it. You hit the F5 key. You look at that debug information.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And here's how to do it. There's debug information that shows you what your UPS, your performance is being spent on. And train pathing is a big one.
Yeah, remove loops, this and that. You have a million loops.
Right. Make bigger, fewer trains, right? Pipes underground, stacker inserters, all these sorts of things that can reduce the UPS burden. What I am hoping for is that this one little change that gives us a new tool has the splash effect of having fewer trains, right? A more lean pathing system, right? Less trains trying to figure out and reserve blocks, and have an overall UPS, less of a UPS demand on all megabases, so that now megabases can grow bigger than they used to be. Because what's the cap on a megabase? Your PC, right? It's it.
Yep.
That's the
processing power, memory speed, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call it, bottleneck it is.
Whatever bottleneck it is, it's not biters. You'll outpace the biters. It's not your inability to find materials. You'll always find them because the maps are huge. You're always going to find that. It is just your PC. That's the end boss in Factorio. Yep. It's like yeah. So what I'm hoping now is teeny tiny simple change has an overall effect of megabases just now got bigger.
Yeah, I think hopefully that's a thing. I'm not going to expect it. I'm not sold on it. It might happen. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because I'm going to eat my foot probably. But what I think is going to happen, I think the trains are going to stay more or less the same, the number of trains, because the amount of trains that you need shipping resources, right? The actual number of trains moving, it's going to be the same. You still have to have 60 iron ore trains picking stuff up, from really far away and bringing it in. And I think even though some of them end up in the stacker, I think you're still going to have some trains sitting in the stacker for a long time. That comes back to like something I always talk about is elasticity, right? You need to be able to handle both the burst and the slow at the same time. And when it's slow, you kind of chill out. But when it's a burst, you need to have those trains.
Right.
But what I think is going to go down tremendously is the use of chain signals. So there's a couple uses of chain signals. Now, in an intersection, you use chain signals so that they don't block each other.
Right.
But in a stacker, you use chain signals so that they don't go, into the stacker without a place to go. And in turn, they don't go to a train stop where there's already a train. So right now, we use chain signals for a lot of that. So we're going to be able to replace that with just this kind of idea of you only go to the stations that are open.
A reservation, the reservation system.
Only if we reserve, because a train that sees a chain signal is a variation of a reservation, right? It reserves the track up to the station is how we're using chain signals in a lot of cases. Now we can just say we're going to reserve that train station, so we don't have to reserve any of the track that's between our stacker and our train stop.
Right. And our stackers, to that end, our stackers now need to only be as big as the stop limit, right? So, right. So that, or one less than the stop limit, right? Because now if I have a stop limit of 5, that means there's going to be 1 train at the stop and 4 waiting, max ever.
Yep.
Right. Right, because they'll never pick up that path.
Unless you have one of those mishaps where all your trains just go bonkers and you accidentally deleted a rail and they're all trying to turn around and you have like a big huge
Right, but at the same time, but that's the normal case that should happen, the maximum case that should happen. If the reservation system works as is, my stacker has a 5, or my stop has a 5 train limit. Now
only have 4.
I only need a stacker. 1 will be at the stop unloading or on its way there, and then 4 spots in the stacker which will wait for it.
Yep, and you can either have it be a stacker, or you can do the old-fashioned way, since it may work, is just have enough train between where it's branching off, enough rail, so that 4 trains can fit.
Right. No stacker, right?
No stacker. As long as 4 can fit behind it and not block something, you don't even need a stacker.
All right, you ready for the parallel? That is designing an oil system with no tanks, no buffer, right? Because
no buffer, yep.
Right, that is producing exactly enough to get exactly enough oil or whatever your derivative is to get to the thing to the next recipe that as much as it needs, and that's it, right? Mojo, our friend Mojo was always pushing us to say, hey man, if you're clever enough, you'll do an oil system with no tanks. And he went, oh, okay, see, that's like next level stuff. Doing a stackerless base means you got to know the timing perfectly of demand being filled by supply and the number of trains that you need to have running on the tracks. And here's the thing is, if there's an interruption, then you may be screwed.
That's what I did on my mega base. Actually, was that kind of system. It worked pretty well. Yeah, I didn't have I had a stacker for the base. This is 5,000 signs per base, but I think the stacker had 4 or 5 bays. Right. Yeah. But that's what you have to do, is you have to work out the timing of how long it takes that train to get there, and then you have to just bank on that, on no interruptions, or you cut out the possibility of other trains crossing it so that there's never any interruptions. Like you may even have dedicated track, right? So that's just a big loop, and that you know exactly how many. It's no stacker, and they never stop, right? And they just keep going. That'd be awesome. It'd be cool. But yeah, but see, so that's what you're saying is the reduction of the chain signal, I think, is going to have an overall reduction of the number of trains. I know it will for me, because I usually make pretty big stackers, just because I make a stacker with say 10 bays, and because I mean space is infinite, right? I'll make a stacker of 10 bays, and the 11th one is the exit. Yeah, because I do bi-directional trains, right? I do double directional trains most of the time. Prevents loops. It's just the way it's superior way. I agree. I like it as well.
Right.
So if you have no loops, they can't screw up.
Right. And what I do is I might make a 5 version, a 10 version, and a 20 version, right? For whatever of that same stacker, and then I'll stamp it down. Well, that's wasteful, because now it's wasteful for space, because now my train stop limit should help control that, right?
Yep.
Right. Yep. It's like it's a more wasteful solution, but it works, right? And if you just need more trains, you just bump the stacker size up and you do the thing, right?
But then you gotta You got every train that paths is going to check it. It's going to cost you UPS, and you got all sorts of things that come from that.
Yeah, if you, if you without loops, it's a lot way minimal. If because we're using bidirectional trains, they're all dead ends. Usually, you're good. You're good from the UPS perspective. So, I think it's exciting times, man. I think it's gonna be great. So.
It's gonna be cool, and I'm really excited for what I can't think of. This is what other people are gonna think of. I have ideas. You have ideas. Everyone who's viewing this right now probably has some ideas. We can't play with it yet. Yeah. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you're watching it late, but there's gonna be some really fun things to try.
Yeah, the reservation system is going to be interesting to explore. I'm really looking forward to cracking open to understanding that a little bit better and seeing what shakes out, right? Because really, the train limit, the implementation looks like a stacker size, right? Or a stop limit. The implementation is a train reservation system that is running, right? And that's kind of what we're doing, right?
Yep. So I want to ask you a question. I'm going to answer it myself, and you can think about it while I'm answering it.
Okay.
What is one small little thing that would change everything for you in regards to trains? I can go first if you want to think about it.
Horns.
That might get a lot of people. People love train horns.
Oh man, there you go. All right, I don't get to make Rain laugh that often, but that's good. I'll take that one. All right, what's yours?
Okay, so you can connect a red or a green wire to a belt. And you can read the contents of that belt. I want to connect a red or a green wire to a track, and I want to read what's on that track. What is in the cargo contents above that track?
Oh.
What's in the train above that? That's what I want.
See, that would open up tons and tons and tons of possibilities because everybody wants that, right? And right now, you can only do that if the train's at the stacker. You can only do that of the train, right?
You can only do that at the train stop when it's stopped, and you can only get the contents of the full train. You can't get an individual cargo wagon, so you never know what's in what wagon.
I said that incorrect. It's not the stacker; it's at the stop. But yeah, you can only read a train. You can only read the full train at the stop, and that's it. And then you can send that to the. I think the stop has those values, right? And then you can send those values forever. That's pretty common, right? But if you wire up to the track and figure out what's above that, you could read each car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Fuel contents, maybe.
Right. Yes. Oh my goodness. Fuel contents. That would change everything. That would change everything because the fuel system we have, it's just like the number of stackers I put down, 5, 10, 20, whether I need those or not. We have so much wasted fuel, right?
Yep.
Because we put in, all right, I'm going to load this fuel depot with way more fuel than I need. That way I have never run out of fuel because number one, I have a bunch of fuel. And number two, running out of fuel is catastrophic.
Oh, God.
Man,
those are nightmare stories.
So I'm going to make sure
you're walking over there.
I'm going to make sure this never happens again, ever. And I bury the problem in fuel. And I put so much fuel down. Right. I still say horns.
Well, Debs. All right, Debs, Clonin, Kovarex.
You're listening.
Bilka. It would be a dream to connect a wire to a track.
It would be.
Next up, copper wire.
Yeah, let me see.
Electric trains.
They might have that. Did that come over, or did that go on yours?
No, it didn't. You got to play it through something else. I only get your microphone.
I have Nephrem's yelling Bilka.
The classic Bilka. Bilka.
Yeah, electric trains would be a good one. That's actually a good one. But then you'd have to figure out. But that's probably a mod.
Man, no. You know what that is? That's DLC. That's DLC content right there.
Okay.
Age of electric, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, electric trains. You get. Well, we already have electric bots, right?
Right.
All sorts of stuff they can add.
Yeah. Okay. So make a list. Let's put that on the great list of topics. What would you pay for? What could you see being a DLC, and what would you pay for? Like, I would definitely pay $5 for X to be able to X as a part of the mid game, and it would unlock. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. It would be a perfectly small, teeny tiny feature.
Mm-hmm.
$5 DLC,
$5.
and it unlocks this thing. And there go the possibilities. And now suddenly it's, you got the picture of the brain, the guy with the brain just going, and it goes everywhere, right? So think about that's a great topic. Is what's a perfect DLC, right? Oh, of course there was a mod, but what?
But it's not the same because you can't, you connect wires to it. Right. You can't go beyond what modding capabilities do. Right. Anything that Factorio does from their standpoint, their developers, is going to be mind blowing. Everything that's in the mod is going to be like, okay, that's cool. Spidertron,
right?
That could have been a DLC.
Totally been a DLC. That could have totally been one.
I would have paid $1 for Spidertron.
I would have paid $2.99. No, they would the Factorio Woob doesn't do 99 cents. They do
that's right.
$3.
Never on sale. You can get the package, which is Factorio plus the $3 mod, for $33.
Mountains of marketing and informational hundreds of years of statistics that show that 99 cents, that reducing it by 1 penny is worth its weight in gold.
Yep.
And it pays off. There is something that psychologically humans love purchasing something for $2.99 instead of $3. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Woob says, no, $30. That is it. That is the one thing. That is the one thing that Woob completely ignores in terms of it is factual scientific evidence with hundreds of years of marketing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Hundreds of years of marketing. And it's the one scientific, inarguable, almost a scientific law that Woob just goes, nope, $30.
And they're successful beyond
they are completely
what I would ever dream of.
You know what? They sleep awesome at night.
Oh, yeah.
They sleep,
and they make a great product. They use the money that they make, and they make a fantastic product. It's just,
oh man,
changed my life.
Yeah. What do you got going on this week?
Man, it's C Block week every week. It's still going. So we're doing C Block still. But what I'm really excited about is getting to space exploration at some point. So I think probably wrap up C Block in a month or two. I'm really digging the idea of space exploration, so I might get into like just a little bit of that, maybe just check it out off stream. But we'll do
bigger than you think.
We'll do our final ascension. Ascension being we have no body in C Block. We're doing Braver New C Block. It's going to be the final time I play without a body, and I'll be back to with a body, and we'll do that.
Right.
Wednesday.
You haven't had a body in like 40 straight, like 40.
Oh no, it's been 2 in a row. It's been like 80 streams.
That's right. Brave New Worlds, right?
Brave New World was before, and Braver New C Block after. So it's been like 80 streams since I've had a body. It's weird. Yeah. So we'll probably be wrapping that up. And there's a lot of cool things that we're doing in C Block. We're actually just refactored the base today, and it's all Logibot based. So we're end game starting next week.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday.
You haven't been run over by a train in so long.
I haven't died. The Walk of Shame. I forgot about the Walk of Shame.
And you haven't pushed your luck with biters in so long. You haven't just stayed out there ahead of the turrets for a little bit too long.
No, I haven't.
In so long.
Yeah, I have not gotten spit on or run over or
you haven't
blow up my car. I haven't even driven a car.
Yeah, you haven't driven a car in forever. I've got my normal thing. We're doing space exploration. We're doing a playthrough of that once a week. I do the nuke base Twitch integration where the follows and hosts and all that drop nukes on me. I do that once a week. That's probably going to be on Wednesdays. The rest of it's going to be space exploration. We're colonized on about 4 or 5 planets now. We've got our space science build cranked up really good. We've moved our stuff to an orbit with a higher solar yield. So our normal solar panels now are super effective because they're closer to a star.
There you go. That's amazing. That's so cool.
Isn't that a cool feature? And you can see the solar system and the planets way out here on the edge of the system. Teeny tiny impact for solar. And then the ones closest in have a huge impact for solar. And you can put stuff on the orbit of the star itself. And you get 10, 20 times the yield from a solar panel.
Yeah.
And in space, it's never nighttime, so no accumulators needed.
But you can't like transfer energy that far, can you?
No, you build the base. You build the base in orbit.
Oh, you build the base in orbit. Okay.
Yeah, you build the base in orbit.
Yeah, you can't just haul a bunch of electricity from one planet to another.
No. It's locally. Yeah, it's locally. That's all you got.
Oh man, the wire got hit by another asteroid.
Yeah, there's meteors and there's solar flares that you got to deal with, and it's good. We're almost to spaceships, and once we get spaceships, then we have a mobile platform that we can move. Instead of launching individual people there, we can just fly them there and drop them off, and I'll do all the stuff.
So you're doing multiplayer
it's super cool. Yeah, and it's going to be a mobile base that you can go from system, planet to planet, right?
Because it's a multiplayer one, right?
Yeah, multiplayer. This is with me and the subs, and thank goodness, because I would have been so lost without it. And I've been able to do some things and get some concepts, but I'm so thankful that I had another person come along and say, here's what we got to do. Thou shalt, here's our steps, and lead us through there. And before, when I did my first Bobs and Angels playthrough, that was Hafala's who came along and said, thou shalt, 1, 2, 3, here's what we're doing. And I went, oh, thank you. I would have had no idea. But now it's Hafala's has moved on to bigger and better things. He's a partner streamer. Now I have another sub coming along.
Yeah, we can give him a shout out quick. So Hafala's is part of Team Red Circuit.
That's right.
You aware of them? They're also doing space exploration right now.
Yes,
they're doing. Heard about this?
Factorio.
Yeah, so this is fascinating. This is something I really love, and I've been watching a variety of the streamers. I actually have a whole bunch of their emotes because of gifted subs and channels. But what they're doing, and if anyone's interested in doing this would be a lot of fun. They're doing a multiplayer space exploration Factorio 2 combo playthrough. But what they did is they had 8 different streamers get together, and everyone starts on their own world in a multiplayer game. All right. And so they don't interact with each other until they get into space. And so they have to start. If they want to interact, they got to get to space. And then once they do that, then they can start interacting. But maybe only a couple people are in space. Maybe Mojo's not in space, but Hafala's is.
Right. Wow. Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's really neat that you can do that with space exploration. I don't know if they, made their own little mod pack or not, or if it's just part of the built-in one to start everyone on their own planet. But that is really cool. That's something I would really like to do. Yeah,
you could do. You could do the same thing in World of Warcraft. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here. If you want to be part of this, make sure you follow twitch.tv/Rain9441. His links in chat. You can come be a part of the live chat when we do this. Also, his link and my link are in the description below. If you have a question or a comment, come hit us up live, or you can leave a comment in the comment section below. All the links to everything we've talked about is in the description. Thanks so much for your support. We love doing this, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.